Midnight Rider director Randall Miller told a Georgia court Wednesday that he never knowingly violated the conditions of his probation for the 2014 death of Sarah Jones, and that was just enough to convince a judge not to send him back to jail. "I was allowed to continue to work in the film business as long as I worked in a role that did not involve safety," Miller said in video testimony today from his home in California, regarding his understanding of the parameters of his probation and parole. "It was important to me that I had no role in safety if I was to do any movie at all," the bottle shock helmer added. "I get that he was nervous and heard what he wanted to hear," Judge Anthony L. Harrison declared of Miller misunderstanding the scope of his sentence in the heat of trial back in 2015. Yet, the Georgia judge found it hard to swallow that the director repeatedly was left in such confusion over repeated interactions with the law. Still, promising to make the conditions as clear as can be, Harrison ended up giving Miller only a sharp slap on the wrist at the conclusion of the nearly 5-hour hearing, which arose. It was discovered Miller returned to directing a film overseas in 2019. "You are not to act as a director, period, first assistant director, period, or in any other capacity in the film industry where you are responsible for safety," Harrison reiterated today, asking and agreeing Miller if he now understood his sentence. During the much-delayed hearing Wednesday in the southern state, the filmmaker faced having his probation revoked, which would have seen him imprisoned again. Having served a year behind bars after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter over the death of 27-year-old camera assistant Jones on the set on Midnight Rider nearly 7 years ago, Miller was released on probation in mid-2016. One of the conditions of his release was that Miller is prohibited from serving as director, first assistant director or supervisor with responsibility for safety in any film production. The definition of what seems to be a fairly straightforward criteria was the contested heart of this latest turn in the fallout from that fatal day on the Midnight Rider set. Among those attending today's long hearing in person was Jones' father. In 2019, Miller did helm the DGA signatory film Higher Grounds in Serbia, Colombia and the UK. The coffee-themed Kate Nash starer is penciled in to be released later this year. Upon being informed of Miller's gig, law enforcement authorities in Georgia last May requested that Department of Community Supervision issue an arrest warrant for Miller for probation violations. Under direct questioning from Harrison on the broad statement put forth in 2015, Miller today parsed his probation order. The filmmaker said he personally laid emphasis on the closing modifier in what he termed, to the judge's obvious displeasure, a run-on sentence.